The whole concept of human shelter began with some sort of roofing. A roof protects us from the elements. It helps retain heat in the winter and cool in the summer. It also serves as an architectural element, adding beauty and style to our buildings. Since our roofs are constantly exposed to the elements of sun, wind, and precipitation, they take a continual pounding. As the years go by, the wear and tear may not be so obvious until that one heavy rain sends a stream of water under its protective layers and into our living spaces.
Keeping your roofs in good repair is essential for us and our residents' peace of mind and will protect our investment.
Hi, my name is Steve Duran, America's favorite maintenance man. Equity Lexford Properties is proud to bring you this video training program. Today we're going to acquaint you with the Equity Residential and industry standards for typical low-slope roofing inspection, repair, and replacement. The objective of this training is to
understand the typical Cardinal-built roof system and related components. Become familiar with roof safety and safety equipment. Familiarizing yourself with typical roof problems and how to repair them. How to replace damaged roof components and materials. How to identify and repair roof sheathing and rafter damage. Become familiar with the steps of total roof replacement. Understanding the value of good roof ventilation and how to accomplish this.
Let's look at the Cardinal-built roof system. You'll notice that these are low-slope roofs, usually 212 pitch with typical venting details. In this cutaway, you'll notice that most Cardinal-built roof systems consist of
3-tab composition or laminated dimensional fungus-resistant 25-year fiberglass asphalt shingles, 15-pound non-perforated asphalt felt underlayment, 1/2-inch CDX plywood or 7/16 of an inch OSB sheathing. Typical soffit overhangs consisting of rafter tails with aluminum soffit and 1x8 cedar or hardy plank. Roof vents, ridge vents, 16-gauge flashings, and drip edge. Tools typically used in roofing. Roofing or utility knife. Roofing hammer. Hammer stapler. A Wonder bar. Roofing shovel for tear-offs. Pneumatic nailer. OSHA-approved 18-foot ladder or taller. Measuring tape. Chalk line. Caulk gun. Nail magnet. A power circular saw. Carpenter square. Roofing rake. Other roof components that we will be using include roll flashing, step flashing, vent stack boot, peak filter vent, flash filter vent, roofing caulk, plastic roof cement, 15-pound rolled felt as underlayment, ice guard underlayment for northern climates, felt underlayment nails. Typical roof safety equipment includes work gloves, knee pads, roof jacks, typically for steep roofs, safety goggles.
You know, your basic Saturday night date getup. Like the latest Loverboy album, a roof system that is working properly usually goes unnoticed. Roof vents and gutter systems provide protection against the elements and provide proper drainage for rain and snow. Small damaged areas can usually be repaired easily, restoring the integrity of the roof system. However, when frequent leaks occur due to excessively worn shingle sections, missing shingles, or cupped or bowed shingles, then replacement may be a better option than trying to repair a failed system. You will want to consult with your district manager on this decision. Before venturing up on a ladder to repair roofing or other roof components, it's important to know the following information regarding ladders. Ladders range from straight wooden types to aluminum and fiberglass extension ladders. One that extends to 20 feet is adequate for most buildings. Be sure your ladder is strong, yet light enough to be handled easily. Let's consider some tips for using a ladder safely. Inspect your ladder for cracks and other weaknesses before you lean it against the house. Place the base of the ladder on firm, level ground at a measured distance from the side of the house. Get on and off the ladder by stepping onto the center of the rung. Use both hands to grip the ladder rails, not the rungs. Reposition the ladder if it wobbles or slips. Keep your hips between the ladder rails. Don't lean out to reach an area. Instead, reposition the ladder. Make sure that only one person stands on a ladder at a time. Install rubber safety shoes, available at home improvement centers, on the ladder feet if the ladder is to stand on a slick surface. Don't stand on the top 2 rungs of a ladder. If you're repairing a roof, at least 2 rungs of the ladder should extend above the eaves so you can step directly onto the roof.
Be sure that the rung hooks of an extension ladder are locked in place and that no section is extended more than 3/4 of its length. Pull materials up a ladder with a rope and have a place to store them at the top. Do not try to carry them up. And never, ever walk underneath the ladder, for you superstitious types.
Working on a roof requires extra caution. The surface is usually slick, sloped, and well above the ground. The following are some precautions to take when making roof repairs.
Don't walk on a roof any more than is necessary, or you may cause more damage. Don't walk on tile and slate roofs at all. They're slippery and breakable. Let a professional make any repairs on a steeply pitched roof, one that slopes more than 25 degrees or rises more than 4 vertical inches for every 12 horizontal inches. Wear loose, comfortable clothing and non-slip rubber-soled shoes with good ankle support. Work on the roof only in dry, calm, warm weather. A wet roof can be treacherously slick. A sudden wind can knock you off balance. Never work on the roof when lightning threatens. Be careful not to put your weight on brittle or old roofing materials or rotted decking. Loose debris, such as leaves and twigs, can cause you to slip as well.
Stay well away from power lines and be sure that neither your body nor any equipment comes into contact with them. Keep children and pets away from secure work areas. The following standard safety devices will help to distribute your weight evenly and provide for secure footing. All of these are available from tool rental companies. In addition, be sure to check with your local state safety office regarding the laws outlined by OSHA, Occupational Safety and Health Administration. Each state has its own safety requirements for roof work.
A safety harness used in conjunction with a fall arrest rope is an added precaution when working on steep inclines and will keep you from sliding off the roof should you lose your footing. A metal ladder bracket allows you to hook your ladder over the ridge. Roof jacks nailed to the roof framing and a 2x6 plank supports you and your working materials. Use strong, straight-grained lumber, no longer than 10 feet unless you support the middle with another jack. Jacks have notches in them so they can be slipped off the nails easily. When you're finished, set and caulk the nails to prevent leaks.
Let's pause and review some roofing basics and safety tips. Welcome back. Let's examine several typical roof problems that would require repair or replacement. Ice. Ice dams in the winter usually indicate inadequate ventilation as a problem. This would indicate that the air in attic spaces is warmer than the outside air, causing the snow to melt down and freeze. When this happens, the ice works its way under and in between the shingles. Soffit leaks and wet ceilings are often the result. Buckled or cupped shingles. Typically, this indicates a moisture or a poor adhesion problem and often occurs when there is more than one layer of shingles on a roof. Roofing nails can sometimes back out, causing an isolated shingle to lift. Wear. Wear occurs as shingles age, and if the majority of the shingles are worn, it is recommended to tear off and replace with a new system. If allowed to deteriorate, storms and high winds can tear off sections of the brittle roofing, exposing seams and nails that would allow water to intrude, causing even more damage to decking, attic insulation, and ceiling. Damaged shingles. This is the main cause of roof leaks. It is recommended that roofs be inspected every 6 months and following every major storm for damaged and missing shingles. Detached or loose flashing. Loose flashing at vertical walls, chimneys, loose or missing ridge vents, and end plugs, and cracked or damaged vent boots will allow water to intrude as it has here and should likewise be included in a regular inspection program. Tree limb damage. Overgrown tree limbs can cause much damage to roofing materials, as you see here. It is important to periodically inspect and trim all limbs that overhang and touch the roof system. Exterior roof inspection. Earlier, we addressed the value of a good inspection. This cannot be overemphasized. No matter how new or old the roof system, problems can flare up quickly. And for this reason, your preventative maintenance program should include a semi-annual roof inspection. The inspection form you will be using can be found in the maintenance manual under Building Exteriors. Let's watch as a district manager and maintenance technician use this form and start inspecting. We'll start with Building 1 and inspect the roof first from the ground. They'll be looking at
shingle condition, plumbing boots, hat louvers, ridge vents, dips in the roof system, which would indicate sheathing, rafter damage or both, and overgrown tree limbs.
Now, our inspection team seems to have found several potential problems. It looks as if they discovered a popped shingle, loose peak filter strapping, and this shingle on the ground is a sure giveaway of a more serious problem. All these problems warrant a closer look. So let's get up on the roof with them, take a look and see what else we can find.
Well, it looks like they have found where the missing shingle belongs. That windstorm last week created quite a mess. Let's take a closer look at the popped shingle. And how about the loose peak filter strap? But wait, that's not all. While taking a closer look at the rest of the roof, they also discovered a torn plumbing vent boot. This is a very common point of water entry, and they make a note of it on their inspection sheet. But wait, what's this? Looks like one squirrel was either very hungry or just wanted to get into the attic real bad and had a rubber boot for lunch. Which, by the way, is not bad with Alfredo sauce, or so I've heard. There is no question we have a leak here. Our inspectors have also noted that the offset roof siding is also in poor condition and could very well be allowing water to enter the wall section. We'll address this later.
Well, it looks as if we have our work cut out for us on this roof. Fortunately, all these repairs can be made in-house. Wouldn't on top house be better than in-house?
Stick to the script, Steve.
Sorry. Before we commence with these obvious needed repairs, let's take a look at the unit interior and the attic space under the peak filter damage. Fortunately, this unit is vacant, so we have free access. Wow, it looks like this has been leaking for some time. Look at the damage to the ceiling tiles, the wall, and even the floor. Had this loose vent strap been found sooner, this damage to the interior could have been avoided. Let's see what it looks like in the attic.
This is what the water leak looks like in the attic. You can actually see the water tracking down the wall and the ceiling and insulation.
As we mentioned earlier, these and the other typical repairs we noted on our roof inspection form can easily be made in-house with a minimum amount of effort, tools, and materials. With minimum effort being the operative phrase everyone loves to hear, right? Let's talk about rooftop repairs. When it comes to rooftop repairs, remember, safety is most important. If the damage to your roof is limited to one or more localized areas, you may be able to fix the problem for the immediate future by replacing one or more shingles or by applying roof cement, as we will demonstrate.
Damaged, cupped, split, or missing shingles are obvious. Cracks or separated joints in the step flashing, ridge vents, or plumbing vent boots can be harder to find and will require a detailed on-roof inspection. Remember that your objective is to track the source of the leak. That is not as easy as it sounds. Once the water has penetrated the shingles and underlayment, it flows down the sheathing to a seam, and once through the sheathing, it often runs down a joist before it finally drips through onto the ceiling below. So a leak up here could actually manifest itself on the ceiling inside.
The best way to track a leak is to get into the attic and actually locate the point where the water is entering from the sheathing. This can be done even before getting onto the roof. While in the attic, use reference points such as chimneys, vent pipes, or ventilation devices to help you pinpoint the spot once you are on the roof. Incidentally, while you're in the attic inspecting for leaks or just inspecting the attic as part of the unit turn, it is a good idea to inspect the ridge ventilation.
If on inspection you find that the ridge vent is blocked, you should determine why. One reason may be due to a black shipping plastic. Let me explain. At the time of shipping the Cardinal built product, a black plastic was attached at the roof ridge, as you see here, to prevent the water damage during module shipment. The protective plastic was to have been removed on installation. However, not all were removed, resulting in attic heat and moisture buildup. When inspecting the unit attic, you should see daylight, as you see here, and maybe some scary-looking spiders. If not, the shipping plastic may still be in place and must be removed, as you see demonstrated here. In addition, it has also been observed that residents have plugged the ridge vent openings, as you see here, thinking that they are reducing their heating and air conditioning bill. The reality is they were doing quite the opposite. In addition, they were creating a large mildew problem such as this one. When you see this, remove the obstruction so as to allow the proper attic ventilation. Doing so can add years of life to your roof system and eliminate mildew along with sagging sheathing, as you see here.
Well, with that in mind, let's proceed to the roof. Now, while you're up on the roof with the intent of inspecting items observed from the ground, why not inspect other vulnerable areas such as ridge vents, vent boots, and modular joints? Remember, a roof could leak long before it's evident in the unit living area. Let's observe as our maintenance technicians make some of these minor in-house repairs.
Small pinhole leaks in shingle areas, ridge vents, nail holes, and vent boot tears can sometimes be repaired with roof cement. However, this is not necessarily a cure-all for all roof problems, and more is not necessarily better. If you find a buckled shingle where the nail has raised the shingle up, here's what you do. Raise shingle gently so as not to tear the tab. Simply re-secure the nail or remove and replace in an adjacent area. Use roofer's caulk to seal up the hole and apply the same caulk in the center of the tab across its length. This will help hold the tab down. Step flashing repairs. Where the step flashing is buckled, such as this one, creating an open gap, water can easily enter. To repair, use a roofing caulk to seal up the gap and rebond the flashing. Gently press down. Remember, if old caulk has failed, remove it first and then apply the new. This original starter step flashing has been a water intrusion problem, allowing water to enter behind the trim. To correct this faulty detail, you must extend the step flashing at least 2 inches beyond the face of the building. Here's how. Remove the cedar wood trim as shown here. Slowly lift up the step flashing and shingle. Remove any nail that might be present. Pull the wide face trim away from the building to allow a sufficient gap. Remove any nail on the bottom 3 inches, sealing the hole with roofer's caulk. Insert the new 7-inch step flashing, leaving 2 to 3 inches protruding past the building face. Fold the sharp exposed corner back as shown. Nail into place and caulk the nail head. Ridge vent repair. Ridge vents often get crushed due to carelessly stepping on the vent or by gravity. To repair, simply lift the vent gently into its original shape, replace any missing strap nails, caulk the nail heads for added protection, remove any bird's nests from the end, make certain that all ridge vent end caps are in place.
Large shingle gaps such as this are caused by expansion and contraction at module joints and can allow water to penetrate the underlayment. These can be repaired by placing a small amount of roofer's caulk at the top of the tab joint, as you see here. It is not necessary to fill the whole joint. Remember the damaged shingles we found on the roof of Building 1? To replace the damaged asphalt shingles, here's what you do.
Locate the shingle parameters, tear off the uppermost shingle needing repair by grasping the sides and wiggling it loose. If you are replacing more than one shingle in the area, as we are here, start with the highest shingle first. Be careful not to damage surrounding shingles that are in good condition and extend the same care to the underlayment. Remove old nails with a pry bar. If you cannot pry the nails out, drive the nails into the sheathing using a hammer. Patch any holes in the underlayment with roofing cement. Inspect sheathing by hand, feel to make sure it is sound. Install new shingles on the lowest course by placing it in line with the adjacent shingle and secure with roofing nails. Follow installation procedure as shown on shingle bundle wrapper. You do still have the wrapper, right? Coat the top of the last shingle above the seal line with roofing cement caulk. Slip the last shingle in place under the original overlapping shingle. Depending on the flexibility of the original shingle, you may be able to lift the tabs to install nails. If not, press the shingle down to seat the roofing cement. Plumbing boots can sometimes be a problem. Plumbing vent boots need to be repaired when squirrels have damaged the boot or the neoprene rubber has cracked due to age and weather. Often, temporary repairs can be made until such time when the defective boot can be replaced. But if replacement is necessary, here's how. Remove 2 courses of shingles directly above the plumbing vent boot in the same manner previously described. Remove the nails securing the old boot and lift the boot off the PVC pipe. Seal up the old nail holes with roof cement caulk as previously noted. Apply roofing cement to the underside flange of the boot flashing. Anchor to the sheathing with roofing nails. Install new shingles around the stack and trim shingles to 1/2 inch to 3/4 inch clearance from the stack and shingles. It's always a good idea to place roofing cement caulk under the shingle tabs on the boot flange, as shown here.
It should be noted, however, that in some cases you may find a secondary black plastic boot slipped over the 3-inch PVC vent pipe as an aesthetic covering. This black pipe should be removed prior to installing the new boot, as water can easily pass through, causing a leak. Hat louvers can be damaged by high winds and hail. Replace damaged hat louvers in the same fashion as a vent boot flange. Remove adjacent shingles directly above the vent.
Remove vent nails and cement all openings. Replace vent with roof cement on the base of the flange. Replace roofing shingles in the same manner as previously noted.
Now, let's pause and review our in-house repair procedures with your facilitator. Now that you have your minor roof repairs under your belt, let's look at a total roofing replacement project. Tearing off an old roof and replacing it with a new roof system is dirty and hard work. Translated, this means, let somebody else do it. Nah, I'm just kidding. But this process will require the use of contract professionals who will adhere closely to the Equity Lexford Properties performance specifications and all roofing safety standards. All roofing contractors should bid on the same project specifications. This contract package typically includes the following: preamble to major maintenance contracts as shown here, roofing shingle repair and replacement specifications, inspection sign-off sheet, the contract, shingle requirements, waiver of lien, and a 3-page roofing shingles work inspection guide and checkoff list. Now, once the bids are taken and contracts are awarded, arrangements will be made with the property staff for scheduling the work. As with every major project, on-site communication is vital. Now, this communication includes, but is not limited to, the following: reviewing the project's scope of work, establishing the start dates, workflow by building to include tear-off, dry-in, and completing the work for that building. Doing so will allow the management to communicate with the residents. Establishing storage areas for materials, staging areas for work, construction dumpster location, inspection dates and times. The scope of work varies from job to job. However, the typical roof replacement project includes, well, more bullet points. Remove and dispose of existing shingles, felts, and flashings. Remove and replace damaged and deteriorated fascia. Reinforce extremely bowed trusses from the attic side by sistering additional wood trusses. Replace all damaged sheathing or decking. Block sagging decks as needed. Install drip edge at fascia. Install 15-pound felt with 19-inch head lap, according to low slope method, and ice guard if required. Install drip edge on gable ends. Install flashings as needed. Install new plumbing boots with 1/2-inch clearance between stack and shingles. Install 40 square-inch hat louvers and duct bathroom exhaust fans through the roof with 1/2-inch clearance between stack and shingles. Install new vent and filter shingle vent 2, or Lamenco Omni Ridge, making sure that 1.5-inch clear vent space is provided. Or, if appropriate, install peak and flash filter vent, providing 1-inch clear vent space. Each building must be inspected to assure clear ridge venting before vents are installed. And of course, before any final payment is made, a signed shingle manufacturer warranty must be received for each building. A copy of the signed warranty will be filed in the corporate property file. This would be a good time to see a re-roofing project from start to finish. Let's assume that contractors have already bid the job and a contract was awarded. Dates for project commencement have already been set. Ideally, a project meeting has already been conducted on-site by an Equity Lexford project manager, along with the district manager, property manager, maintenance technician, and contractor. The flow of work and project schedule has already been determined. The material storage and staging area has already been selected, and the residents have been notified. Let the roofing begin! You know, Personal note. I was hoping I could get through this entire video without the script writer inserting a dumb roof joke. I say I was wrong. We'll start first with the 100% removal of all roofing, felts, and related materials.
Demolition. Of course, all efforts will be made to protect the building's surrounding shrubbery and landscaping from roofing debris and nails. Work areas should be marked off to protect the residents. While there may be temptation to pitch debris to the nearest edge, all effort will be made to secure an area using plywood and tarps and a portable dumpster. The debris should be deposited in this area, resulting in less work, less damage, and greater safety for residents and workers. In the tear-off process, wheelbarrows come in quite handy. Great care should be taken not to damage any flashing. Even if it has deteriorated and must be replaced, it may be useful as a pattern for fabricating new flashing. Framing and sheathing repair. Remember, a roof is only as good as the surface to which it is applied. Warped or sagging decking could cause premature wearing and other roof problems. Let's address this segment of the re-roofing project. Inspect all roof decking and truss systems for soundness. Look for loose and warped sheathing, spongy areas, or dips. Determine if the damage is related to the surface only or if the roof trusses and rafters have been damaged by excessive attic heat and water. This is usually evident by its darker, deteriorated appearance or sagging, as in this case. Look for any badly warped sections that dip more than 3/4 of an inch between rafters and 1.5 inches between 4 feet of rafters. Notice as our contractor strikes a line and measures the warp. Replace any damaged sheathing with matching 1/2 inch CDX plywood or 7/16 inch OSB. To replace damaged sheathing, cut out an area well beyond the damaged area, ideally to the next rafter center line. Do not cut deeper than the thickness of the sheathing. The repair patch should cover no less than 3 rafters for strength.
Use H-clips every 24 inches on center, butting to the existing sheathing for strength. Remember to install the grain of the sheathing in the proper direction for strength. Patch piece should be the same size as the piece removed with no gaps greater than 1/8 inch. It is a good idea to apply a 1/4 inch bead of solvent-based AFCO 1 construction adhesive to rafters.
Nail new sheathing with grain in proper direction perpendicular. Match existing nail schedule with 6D coated sinker nails, 12 inch on center edges and 12 inch on center at intermediate rafters. Remember to apply the ply clips or H-clips to the unsupported edges for strength. Dips between vent blocks at ridges shall be leveled if required with 3¼ inch by 2¼ inch high blocks in the vent spaces. Fasten these with 6D coated sinker nails through the sheathing. Repair or replace damaged or badly warped trusses or rafter tails by sistering a 2x4 for its full length onto the truss as we see here with 6D nails every 12 inches,
or remove the truss and replace it all together with a 2x6.
Inspect and repair all sagging rake extensions that are sagging 3/4 inch or more with a new 2x6 firmly attached to the rake rafter with 6D coated sinker nails. Be careful not to walk on rake ends. Prior to installing the underlayment, make any new hat vent cuts in the sheathing above the bath vent location as you see here. Cuts should be 6 by 6 inches.
Now that all the trusses and sheathing have been repaired, the entire roof surface must be swept clean.
Once all debris is removed, install new Style D aluminum drip edge along all eaves, gutter edge, of the roof. Double notch the vertical edge at gutter spike locations if required. The drip edge must be 26 gauge aluminum overlapping strip 2 inches wide. These drip edges keep water from wicking back under the shingles. Prior to covering the entire deck with non-perforated 15-pound saturated felt underlayment, we must do the following. For the northern regions only, begin by installing 2 courses of ice guard membrane. First, snap a chalk line 35.5 inches up from the eaves. This will allow a 1/2 inch drip edge overhang. Follow the manufacturer's recommendations for installation. As you can see, this material fully adheres to the sheathing, so it is vital that the installers apply this material slowly and accurately. Apply the second row overlapping the first by 3.5 inches. All end laps must overlap a minimum of 6 inches. Strike a line 19 inches above the second ice guard membrane and apply the first row of roofing felt, overlapping the ice guard by 17 inches. Continue to apply the non-perforated felt all the way up to the ridge overlapping each row 19 inches. Fasten each sheet of underlayment every 12 inches with a 1-inch galvanized roofing nail, ideally with a plastic cap nail for a secure hold. End laps should be overlapped by a minimum of 12 inches and located no less than 6 feet from an end lap on the previous course. Courses should overlap by 19 inches for the full roof surface. This process is called drying in, and in effect offers a second layer of weather protection. If the underlayment is not pre-marked, snap horizontal chalk lines before installing. Notice as our roofing contractor starts at one end and works across, periodically aligning the roll and cutting out for plumbing vents. They then nail the material every 12 inches apart along the lower half. Install new Style D aluminum drip edge on all rake ends starting at the bottom and working upward to the ridge. Overlap all joints by a minimum of 2 inches.
In southern climates, following the installation of the drip edge, apply the starter underlayment for its full length from edge to edge. Strike a line at 19 inches from the edge and cover the entire surface with 15-pound underlayment and overlapping each row 19 inches. Now that our roof is dried in, we're ready for the shingles. Attention to detail in this process is equally important, not only to shed water, but to give a good appearance for many years.
We will typically be using either a 25-year fiberglass asphalt 12-inch by 36-inch, 3-tab seal-down shingle, or as in this project, a 25-year architectural laminated dimensional shingle.
The shingles must be stocked over the module joint only. Do not stock shingles in the center of the module or on the rake extension.
Each shingle requires 4 7/8 to 1-inch bared or deformed shank galvanized roofing nails. Nails should be 11 or 12 gauge, placed precisely in the designated space marked on each shingle as shown in this illustration. Notice that the first nail is installed at 1 inch from the edge, with the next two being installed 12 and 24 inches from the end. The fourth nail is installed 1 inch in from the end. Here's how it should look on the roof. Remember, nail placement is critical. It is also important that nails be driven straight and flush with the shingle surface and not driven crooked, underdriven, or overdriven into the shingle as shown here.
When nailing, remember that the contractor's main concern is proper alignment of the shingles. Therefore, it will be necessary to set horizontal chalk lines every other course, and in some cases, vertical chalk lines. A good place to start is with the starter row. Pure genius, I tell you. The first row of shingles is called the starter strip. To install it,
snap a horizontal line 6.5 inches up from the drip edge at both ends of the eave. This will create a starter line across the bottom of the roof. Taking the number of shingles needed to span the course, cut off the 5-inch tab portion of each shingle as shown here. Trim 7 inches off the left end first starter row shingle only so the vertical seams will be offset from any subsequent shingle rows. Position the remaining 7-inch starter strip with a factory applied adhesive face up along the chalk line. This would place the starter ideally 1/2 inch below the drip edge. Attach the starter strip using galvanized roofing nails 3 to 4 inches above the eaves and place the nails about every 12 inches so each shingle in the starter row has 4 nails.
As you can see, the starter row is in place and we are ready to start the installation of shingles. Let's observe as our contractor begins his installation. Notice how he uses the chalk line as a guide to assure a consistent straight line. He has also struck chalk lines every 7 inches to use as a guide all the way to the ridge. Vertical and horizontal chalk lines must be used.
The contractor will now continue to follow directions on the shingle package. Beginning with the first course, he applies a full course of landmark laminated shingles at the lower left corner, flush with the starter row on the bottom and overhanging the rack metal drip edge 1/2 inch. On the second to fifth course, it's important to follow the next set of instructions carefully. Cut 7 inches off the left end of a full course and apply the remaining 29-inch piece over the left edge of the first course. Cut 14 inches off the left end of a full course and apply it over the left edge of the second course. Apply the 14-inch left remaining from a previous cut over the left edge of the third course. Apply the 7-inch piece over the left edge of the fourth course.
Let's look at this sequence again, like you have a choice. At this time, it would be advisable to run each of these first 5 courses out to the end.
Beginning with a full shingle, repeat the 5-course diagonal pattern up the rake until the entire roof is complete.
Remember, the diagonal application is important to assure proper finish appearance. Installing shingles on a roof is seldom, if ever, done without running into obstacles. Notice as the contractor prepares to shingle around this vent stack.
First, he's going to shingle all the way up to the vent stack. He now applies asphalt roofing cement caulk to the flange of the pipe boot and places it over the pipe. When the flange is flush against the roof, he anchors it with roofing nails and caulks the nail heads to seal. Now he installs shingles around the stack and trims them in neatly with his utility knife. Remember, keep shingles a ½ inch to 3/4 inches away from the stack. It is a good idea to apply roofing caulk under the partial shingle strips to bond them to the flange.
If the contractor is installing 3-tab shingles, he would want to follow the directions found on the shingle package. Typically, the details would be similar for the underlayment and starter row. However, shingle installation would differ slightly. Since we are using the laminated dimensional, there is no need to trim off the rake edge. However, for the 3-tab, a contractor would want to use a straight edge and utility knife to trim the edge approximately 1/2 inch over the rake edge. Hat lovers. Me, I'm definitely a hat lover. Like a bowler, beret, or even a good old baseball cap. Oh, wait. That says hat louvers. Never mind. If there are no hat louvers on a roof, as in this case, the contractor should do the following.
Cut a 6x6 inch square opening through the sheathing at 24 inches towards the nearest module joint from the apartment's soil stack. The opening shall be the same distance down from the ridge as the soil stack. Let's observe our contractor as he cuts the opening. The maintenance tech or contractor shall extend the 3-inch bathroom fan duct to the sheathing as demonstrated here and secure to the sheathing with roofing nails. Position the vent and secure one corner so as not to lose position. Lift slightly to apply caulk at its base. Nail to roof and seal the nails.
Typically, the last item to be installed on a roof is the ridge ventilation and cap shingles. Let's watch as our contractor installs the CertainTeed Ridge Fitter Shingle Vent 2, or you may use Alcoa Rovar.
First, he checks to see that he has 1½ inch clearance between the roof peaks so as to provide adequate ventilation. He makes certain that roofing felts, shingles, and sheathing are not infringing. If it is, it must be removed. This ventilation must exist from the building line to building line. Let's observe as our contractor installs the ridge vent, joining it to the adjacent vent and securing it with nails. He now installs the cap shingles, which are regular 3-tab shingles cut and trimmed into a slight wedge shape and secured with 2 nails each. Since we're talking about attic ventilation, let's take a look at the results of poor ventilation and the cause. As we access this attic, you will notice excess mildew on the underside of the OSB decking. But that's not all. Do you notice the sheathing sag between the trusses? All of this is a result of a former resident plugging up their ridge vents thinking that they're saving energy. Maintenance technicians should be sensitive to situations like this because this is the new millennium and it's okay to be sensitive.
Well, here you have it, a complete new roof installation. Looks great, doesn't it? This roof should be trouble-free for a long time provided that we do our job and inspect our roofs periodically and correct any and all minor problems promptly. Before we consider our final segment on attic ventilation and siding, let's review the new roof installation process with your facilitator. Many of the Cardinal-built buildings were constructed on split foundation slabs requiring offset roof lines. Typically, there are 2 areas where this was done. The first is on offset gable ends, such as this one, and the second is on the ridge peak offset, as you see here. Siding was installed as a weatherboard on these elevations. In this case, it's a Masonite laminated pressboard product. It is a good idea to examine the condition of the siding when examining the roof, as our inspectors did earlier. The finding was that this siding was in poor condition, allowing moisture and water to enter the subwalls, and will have to be replaced. Here's how we do this on the gable ends. Remove the rake beams and cedar ears.
Remove all trim boards, both upper and lower. Remove all siding material and exercise caution not to damage the roof. Once the area is cleaned up and all nails are removed from the wall, install Tyvek Weather Shield over the entire surface with 1¼ inch roofing nails every 32 inches. Overlap each section 4 to 6 inches. It is encouraged to exercise extreme caution in cutting the Tyvek material on the roof surface. Once the Tyvek is in place, measure the siding length and pre-cut each section of the Hardie Panel Sierra 8 to fit. There should be a 2-inch gap from the top of the roof to the panel. Use a chalk line to snap 2 screw lines across its length. Use 2.5-inch galvanized Phillips head screws, 2 per stud. Caulk all screw heads and butt joints. Install a 5.5-inch Hardie plank trim installed on the freeze line under the rake soffit to finish off the installation.
In the second scenario, we'll incorporate the siding installation with both the flash filter vent and the peak filter vent. We will follow the same procedure as the first in the demolition process and the Tyvek installation. We'll also want to make sure that the attic vents are clear of any obstruction.
Make sure that we have at least 1¼ inches of open vent from the wall to the end of the connecting roof sheathing. The roof trusses should be exposed. Place the CertainTeed air vent, supplemental metal flashing on the roof as recommended by the manufacturer. Place the first section of flash filter over the open slot and secure the rear flange with a screw to the wall studs. Secure the lower flange onto the shingled roof with the factory-supplied anchors in the pre-punched holes. Place the foam insert plug into the ends of the vent. This will prevent water intrusion and birds from building nests in this space. Extend the flash filter vent out to the end of the roof, overlapping each section by 3 inches. Use siliconized or urethane caulk in the laps to ensure a good weather seal.
Install the first lap of 8¼ inch Hardie plank siding at least 1 inch above the flash filter vent and secure to the studs.
Make sure that the siding is level. Run each course out to the end butting at stud lines. Laps may range from 5 to 7 inches. Repeat all the way up to the ridge vent with all siding butts in line. Make certain that you have a minimum of 1¼ inches of clear, unobstructed ridge venting. If you do not, strike a line and cut the sheathing and shingles to accommodate. Place the peak filter vent over the open slot, making sure that the rear flange fits snugly and plumb with the siding.
Secure with 3-inch galvanized screws.
Install the foam end plugs. Extend the peak filter vent out to the end, overlapping each section by 3 inches. Use siliconized or urethane caulk in the laps to ensure a good seal.
Cut to fit and install 1 section of Hardie plank siding, 8¼ inch wide, vertically over all siding butt seams.
Measure length from the bottom of the siding to the peak filter flange. Secure with 3-inch galvanized screws. Caulk all nails, screws, and butt joints with a paintable siliconized caulk.
Well, that's it for siding and ridge vents, but this would be an excellent time to talk about attic ventilation. Let's just take a moment and consider why attic ventilation is so important. It really boils down to common sense. Proper ventilation is critical for a healthy roof and attic system. If you have inadequate venting, you risk wood rot, mildew, and water damage due to trapped moisture. Inadequate venting will also affect your exterior roof system, not to mention higher cooling and heating costs, and the wrath of your supervisor. I made that one up. Typically, good ventilation means that you will have 1 square foot of ventilation for every 300 cubic feet of free attic space. This ratio will give you the amount of square inches or feet of ventilation required to prevent damage.
There should be an equal amount of intake at the soffits and exhaust on the roof for natural convection or air circulation to be effective. It is always a good idea to make sure that there are not blockages in the intake or outtake.
Blockages may consist of soffit vents that have been painted shut, or excessive dirt may be plugging the ports. Pressure washing soffits may open up closed vents. Look for crushed ridge or flash filter vents and correct the shape. Remember to look for ridge vents that may be blocked with original shipment protective vinyl. Check for improperly installed attic insulation and that the baffles located at the rafters have been properly installed and are functioning. Now that the roofing is complete, there are just a couple more items that should be cared for by the maintenance technician or the roofing contractor if it is included in his scope of work, and that is:
inspect and reattach all loose gutter and downspouts. Inspect gutters for proper pitch and water flow. Clean all gutters.
Keep your balls out of the gutter. You do this by keeping these slightly bent, eyes forward at all times. Well, that's it for roofing. But before we conclude this course, let's review what we have learned.
How and why we should inspect our roofs semi-annually and after every major storm, and the tools available to perform such inspections. The value of keeping ridge vents, plumbing boots, hat louvers, sheathing, and shingles in good repair, not to mention repairing damaged shingles and how to make such repairs in-house. We learned the proper procedures for total roof removal, sheathing and truss repair, underlayment installation, how to install new flashings, boots, and vents, how to install fiberglass roof shingles, how to replace siding above the roof line, and how and why proper roof ventilation is so important.
Well, that's it for roofing. May all your roofs be trouble-free. This is Steve Duran. See you next time.